I'm Adrián and I play violin, first violin in the Philharmonia Orchestra.
Fantastic. My name's Kirpal Panesar, and the instrument I play is called the Shehnai.
And how do you play? I see you have a bow.
Yeah, it's played with a bow and using the fretboard with the left hand. One of the things about this instrument, the way it was actually created, is why there's so many different styles we can actually play on this. As I mentioned, obviously this side is similar to a guitar or sitar, if you've seen it. And the bottom part, this is actually coming from an ancient Indian instrument called the saranda, which was used back in the late 16th century by one of the Sikh gurus, Guru Arjan Dev Ji, who was the master of the instrument. So this part has been taken from that, and this is obviously been taken from the sitar, but with the gramophone attachment, it produces the sound of a Shehnai, which is the Indian version of the oboe. Because there's three different instruments that it's derived from, we can play those three different styles on here. So there's the sitar, which is plucked with a plectrum, so we can try to get that sort of sound. So that is the sort of fast movement of the sitar, as in pluck the sort of plectrum. On a stringed instrument, obviously bending the note, which you would say is the sort of style of vocalists. And then the third one is the Shehnai, and the sort of way that that was played is similar to this. I'll just give you a sort of short demonstration of that. So there's different times when we would use that effect, and we would use it a lot more in the vocal side or when we were imitating the sound of the Shehnai.
We use something that we call vibrato, and we use it a lot, and there's a mixed history about how it came to be or not. We always think that, we like to think that we're imitating the vocal line, but actually hearing you playing, we don't come closer. But there's a way of playing with no vibrato, where the finger just cuts the string in the same way that the nut cuts the open string there.
Yeah. So that's just plain.
And sometimes we use that effect, and there are orchestras and repertoire that we use that kind of playing more. But normally we are trying to give more life or embellish the sound in this way, using vibrato, which is at a higher rate, but not very wide, so maybe. And we vary it according to what kind of music we're playing. For example, on a concert we're doing in Leicester, we're playing Mozart, which starts off very vibrant, very fast, and we all start very happily. Like this. I think in a slow movement we would use a slower vibrato, so if we played the first movement of Mozart like this, it wouldn't really work.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, yeah. It's interesting that we do use a similar technique to that that you just showed now. When we play like a sadder tune, when it's not so upbeat, then we would slow that down as well. So the movements today will be a lot slower, a lot mellower. But when we're playing something upbeat, just like you said, it'll be a lot faster and a lot more punchy.
I think we try to get different kinds of sounds, yes, with what I was talking about vibrato, but actually our bow comes into play a lot. What we do is we vary a number of variables. The distance at which we use the bow from, this is called the bridge. And some people think it's fixed, but actually it's just held together by the pressure of the strings against the wood itself. So, for example, we can play a tone like this. And if I move closer to my hand, and in the orchestra, when the entire string section makes that kind of change, the effect is really stunning. And also, if I come closer to the bridge, we have maybe a brighter or harsher sound. And of course, I have to modify the speed of the bow and also the speed of the vibrato in order to make the violin speak more or less. So I'll try and make some changes. So there are different combinations of factors which make the violin suddenly spring out and resonate more or less. And so we're always keeping an ear out to what the rest of the section is doing, of course, but also what else is going on in the orchestra. It's really nice to be able to give, for example, a woodwind player just the room to play and to play expressively, rather than have to, even if it's just a hair of an extra effort that they have to make. It's really nice and it's an individual thing. You can hear each individual colleague around you just dropping like this, molding. It's like a living organism.
With an orchestra, it's even though it's obviously music that's written, but there's always a different. You can almost feel a different vibe each time you do listen to it. It depends on who's performing it. Whereas with Indian classical music, again, I mean, it's a set melody. For example, we use a rag frame, which is a framework within a melody. So there's certain notes that we can play and certain notes we can't play within that. But it's literally left to the person who's playing it, that you make it the way you want it. And so it's just a blank canvas, and we've got to create the whole thing. So we very rarely go off a sheet of paper. It is literally what comes in our mind. So if someone said we're going to play some happy music today, so we'll be using the notes. And they wanted to change that to a sad tune or sad music. We'll just change one of the notes, or we'll just play it in a different way. So it's almost like that we've got to figure a way out of how to portray that emotion without actually having a set way of doing it. If there was, for example, 5 or 6 instrumentalists, we would all be playing within the same rag, so we're within the same framework. But we were each trying to tell that story our own way. So, for example, if somebody was telling a story about Jack and Jill went up the hill, somebody would describe that hill as being a massive mountain, and somebody would say it was just a small little hill. But we would all be talking about the same story, but in our own way. And the sort of rules to it apply for everyone, that we can only say Jack and Jill and the hill. But how we describe Jack, how we describe Jill, and how we describe the hill is all different. I think that's something that differs between our music. And I think both have you can only say positives, really. I think it's beautiful the way both of them find their own ways.
Yeah. Laurence Olivier, the English actor, famously made a remark when the method acting of Hollywood, of Dustin Hoffman, of being in the part, they'd just come up with that. And someone asked Olivier what he thought about that, because that was completely antagonistic to his approach. And his approach was much more about every gesture had to be thought out and planned out in advance, and every expression, and then the actor delivers that. And he said, yeah, but if you're doing a theatre piece, maybe, but if you're doing filming a big epic battle scene with hundreds of extras, you can't have everybody, feeling the part on the battlefield. People just have to do
That's well said.
a certain task at a certain time. And I think that's a bit comparable to playing in a big symphony orchestra.
It'd be mayhem if it was the other way.
Well, yeah, I mean, of course everybody has their own idea of how to do it, but that's not what it's about. And also we have people in charge, like the principals of each section. The concert master or leader has opinions, and they work out between the other principals and the conductor what's going on. And if the section has collectively done something different, then he'll turn around and tell us and ask us to change what we're doing.
I think it's one of the reasons why the symphony concerts always finish on time and our concerts always run an hour or 2 hours late. It's because we just can't stop.
Shall we do a question and answer, I think?
You're doing a better job than I am. I think even when I might be a bit comfortable playing it this way, actually.